All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is Dan Bell from Future of Hampton Roads, and it is Tuesday, May 20th, 2014, a beautiful afternoon here in Virginia Beach. I am with Danijel Velicki of the Opus Group of Virginia. How'd I do with that, Dan?
Perfect.
Let's see, it takes,
Great.
I'll tell you what, I learn slowly, but I learn eventually. So, Danijel, thank you very much for the opportunity to chat with you today. Folks, I got to tell you, I was 30 minutes late to this appointment. It was an embarrassment, traffic, etc., and we were already talking about buying a helicopter to move us around. Right, Danijel?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, again, thank you very much, and let's get right to it. Why don't you tell us about yourself, and we'll go into deeper levels on the Opus Group of Virginia.
I am the owner of the Opus Group of Virginia. It's a wealth management financial planning firm. I have been in the field for 14 years. I am originally from Croatia, so this is my second language. If I say anything goofy, I do apologize. It's just, that's normal. That's par for the course. I came to the United States in '95, right after the war in Croatia. Went to West Virginia, got my undergrad, met my wife, got stuck, and we moved to Virginia Beach in 2000. And that's when I got into the financial planning business. I really wanted to help individuals with second most important thing to them, which is besides their health, obviously money. And just found that it was a great industry to be in.
And so, I'm sorry, what was the year you opened up the Opus Group?
The Opus Group actually started, I started in 2010.
Gotcha.
I started the business in 2000 and end of 2000.
So you kind of progressed through,
Yes.
and so tell us a little bit about that portion of your career.
For those that know about this industry, there's about 11% retention after 4 years of the business of people getting in, and usually it's all about who you know. So I'm from Croatia, went to West Virginia, and came here and started in this business within 6 months of moving here. So I knew nobody. I had 20 names on my list, and I made up 6.
Wow.
But I had an awesome mentor, and he taught me how to dance, and that's what I used to call it. Just tell me the steps. I'm a great follower. I can follow directions, and I really found that I have a great passion for helping people, which really pushed me to a different attitude, I guess, towards the business. And I was the agent of the year my first year in business, my first full 12 months. This is actually I'm most proud of. That was in 2002.
Oh, that's everybody. It's a beautiful pillar of recognition. Outstanding.
Yeah, that was. I'm proud of that one. And then considering I started with 14 people that were all from around here, I'm still the only one in the business.
No kidding.
Yes, and I was the top producer.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Danijel knows how to shoot some pool too. That's how we met, right?
But I know how to lose games.
but we were talking about just the tenacity coming from Croatia and having gone through what you went through individually, your family, your friends, etc., and coming to the United States and getting educated and starting your own company and the success of that company. It's just an outstanding story, but not one that a lot of people have to share with us. So
no, and I think I preach this all the time. So many people don't realize how great of an opportunity they have. And when I look around and what I've been through, this is my second chance at life considering what I've been through. So just half-assed is not an option. It's either all the way in and do the right things and work hard and develop good habits, or it's just a waste of time.
Outstanding, great credo. So the financial management business, and so you've gone from a startup to serving, and we don't talk dollars on our interviews, but you've got several clients. Are they businesses? Are they consumers? Because
we are pretty much relationship-based business, and it's all, at this point, based on relationships and referrals. Clients are all over the spectrum. We do specialize. I'll tell you what my love is. I feel like physicians, CEOs, business owners just don't get enough education when it comes to decisions they have to make.
Interesting.
And they are the ones that make the money. They are the ones that everybody looks up to, but they've never had the training or the education or the skills to be able to really make the right decisions based on facts.
Right.
Disadvantage about our business is that really the barrier to entry is low. There are too many people that just get their basics licenses. They call themselves financial representatives because they can, and they sell. And that's probably the worst thing that can happen, because the sales are based on what's right for them instead of for the client. So early in my career, first off, I have a whole bunch of stuff behind my name because education is extremely important to me.
Right.
But early in my career, I figured out that the more I can teach my clients, the more I can empower them to really make the right decision what's for them, then all I am is a facilitator of learning, and I'm helping them implement whatever plan works for them. So that was a huge differentiator for me in my industry. When I started doing that, I became more and more and more successful, just because it doesn't matter as long as it's right for the client. So it's a huge difference, and I can tell you the hugs and the cards and the stuff that we get from my clients that have been with somebody else, that's success. To me, financial success is totally different than this success. When people tell you how great you're doing and how much their life has changed and how they understand things and how they know things, and for the first time you've been able to explain something that somebody else can't or didn't. Right. Especially considering this is my second language, that's amazing to me.
That's amazing to me too.
Yeah.
and so you said you had a bunch of stuff after your name, and folks, he's right.
And I have to keep some off because
it just gets too lengthy. Yeah. So you've gone with CFS, Certified Financial Specialist, and CIN,
Certified Income Specialist, and then I kept off my MSFS, the Masters of Financial Services, and then Board Certified Estate Planner.
Wow.
So I like to learn.
Yeah, that's great. And so what caused you to consider this was the career direction that you wanted to take?
Funny enough, in college, I always wanted to help people because I've been extremely helped, and that's a totally long, different story. So I saw money as one of the areas where people needed direction and help. So I took finance, I took marketing, and out of college, I took a job with American Express really shortly. And left there quickly, and actually got out of the business. I started with 7-Eleven as a management consultant. That's how I moved here with my wife, just because it was every company that I interviewed with, it was all about selling and commissions rather than helping and direction. So I hated the business. I stopped. I didn't want to do this anymore until really I started playing basketball with the guy who was with the first firm that I was with, and he said, "Hey, let me take you to lunch and tell you what I do." And he really took me through a process that was fully educational and helpful rather than sales driven. He never said anything to do. He always drove me to my own decisions and explained and taught me. And I said, that's what I want to do.
It seems like a very long-term strategy as opposed to that short-term.
Absolutely.
Hit-and-run strategy. I mean, there's lots of hit-and-run strategies.
It was very, very long-term strategy. And I begged for work. They didn't want to give it to me because, I didn't know anybody.
How about that?
And then the lady her name was Debbie O'Neill. She's still around. I give her a card every year. But she gave me a shot. And I owe her a lot just to be here.
That's outstanding. And so you've started acquiring customers in 2010. I'm sure you still got a lot of customers from 2010.
Well, I started acquiring customers in 2000.
Okay.
And then as my business progressed, one thing that I learned and how the genesis of the Opus Group, I started figuring out that one person cannot be knowledgeable in everything, or maybe knowledgeable is the wrong word, passionate about everything when it comes to finances. Just as a doctor cannot be every doctor, or an attorney cannot be everything to you. So in our field, there's the stocks, the bonds, the tax planning, retirement planning, investment planning, all kinds of big strategies. So my passion was the teaching and the big strategies, tax, retirement. I wasn't that passionate about stocks and the market because I'm extremely conservative. So the market has such inherent risk in it that I can't control. But I wrote a business plan in which really was a combination of skills that brought more people working together for one client. So I found other partners that were more skillful and knowledgeable in different areas where I either wasn't or didn't care to be. So I found Jim Friedel, who was at UBS. He's an incredible stock guy, and then Forrest Williams, who is a 401k business specialist,
Right.
and they both have a lot of stuff behind their name.
Right.
And brought them together into the Opus group and shared the vision, shared
Yep.
the passion, shared the idea of how we can be better together than apart. And there's really not anybody like us around. You'll have people that are at Merrill or UBS, that's one's a stock guy, one's a bond guy,
Right.
but it's all investment based. There's no understanding on estate planning, on life insurance, on business planning, on continuation planning, all the stuff that's extremely important to our clients. So we are really a unique shop, and I'm, just like you said, I'm very proud of what we've become over the last 4 years.
As you should be. And so there's 4 members, or
There's three.
three members,
Three members.
Of the Opus group, okay, of Virginia. And so, and you guys have been together ever since?
Yes.
From the beginning.
From the beginning.
That's
Yep.
great. And I'm sure you guys all get along famously and have great relationships.
It's a marriage. We absolutely.
You know, there's a lot at stake. So, what were some of the growth curve challenges that you've gone through as you were launching?
Starting up the Opus Group was a challenge just because there isn't such an entity around. The closest thing, there was 2 guys that got together in D.C. We sought them out. We spent 3 days with them on the planning side. And just because it's not, you got to understand, our industry, again, is very separated in silos. You either have the brokerage houses or you have the insurance houses. And then they'll talk to each other, and they don't promote cross-understanding of each other's products. So a Merrill Lynch guy has no idea on estate planning, and a New York Life guy has no idea about high-level stock planning and puts and shorts and everything else. So you end up getting whatever you kind of end up with. So we saw that as an opportunity because we understand all the sides because of our backgrounds and where we came from. So the hardest thing was figuring out how to set up and how to have the contract set up with the companies that we do business with, because they told us it couldn't be done. And that's usually a pretty good push for me to make it happen. So we got through all the legalities, we set up the business, we figured out how to run it. So it was first the financial side of it was tough. But we worked through it. The companies that we deal with were really great at helping us. Then really putting our books together, because when you are one company and this guy's at the other company was also interesting. But it took us about 6 months to get everything really ironed out, and we, January of 2010 was our first day open. We had the staff. I had 2 staff. Forrest had a staff person. We hired a couple more. And then now, really, just to continue with the question, scaling is something that we're working with. Another thing that separates us from a lot of different financial people is they take more of a shotgun approach to business, where they will take anybody that will mirror, fog a mirror. For us, when I wrote the business plan, we're building compartments that are special for whatever niche we're going after. So we already have a physician studio where we have specialized planners for that. We have the business owner studio, entertainment, military, I'm forgetting one.
It'll come.
Yes.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yep.
So it's a very niche kind of business that we're building, and that's actually helping us be able to scale, because we can take new planners that we're bringing in, putting them into a business model that they can specialize in something and already have a market for them.
Fascinating. So when you started this up, was it self-financed?
It was self-financed. Thankfully, again, because all 3 of us have been in business for a while, the benefit to our business, there's renewals, there's fees, the book of business continues to pay as long as you do a good job. So day one, it wasn't like a regular business where you just start with nothing. So we already had a pretty good revenue going in.
Oh, that's great.
Which was phenomenal. We just took some money, put it in our account, and then just kept on going.
That's outstanding. I mean, that's we talk about the safety nets, et cetera. Some people, it's personal savings, it's book of business, et cetera. But it gives you a platform of some stability from which that you can
absolutely
move forward.
We're very lucky in that.
Yeah. And so when you start out, you've mentioned some names, but those of us that have been in business, and certainly so many entrepreneurs, they have mentors, they have people, whether it's family, friends, business associates. So you've mentioned some of them, but did you have just a close network of people that you relied upon?
Yes, when I first started, especially in business, I had the guy that I worked for. His name was Ed Stein. He was a phenomenal teacher and really, really great real life person that could take you through things that obviously he's been through and kind of helped. From that point on, I kept on getting better and better in business, so my recognition in the industry became better. I'm known to always seek out somebody that I want to be like. So I always found that any trips or council trips and stuff that we usually do, I always go to the number one producer and ask them for help.
That's great.
And every year I do that, and it's phenomenal. That's the one thing I'm really amazed at, especially in our industry, everybody wants to help somebody else that has that fire.
No kidding.
And it's a phenomenal thing. My first time, I was at a leaders club, and the number one producer in the country was from New Jersey. I walked up to him, never met the guy, and I said, "Sir, you're the number one. I want to be like that." And whenever I get there, he said, "Here's my address. Here's my cell phone. Come up, see me. Spend the weekend with me."
Wow.
And I drove up 3 weeks later, and he had me in meetings. He had me with his staff. He showed me all the steps, everything that he did. Went out to dinner that night with his family, spent the night at the house.
Nice.
Talked for hours in the morning, and I drove home on a Saturday afternoon.
Wow.
It was phenomenal. And these days, being a part of the Entrepreneurs Organization, it's so important because I am running a business now rather than just producing. Being around those leaders is amazing, because no matter what the business has been, the problems, the thoughts, and especially my wife made the best, just kind of saw the reason I love these guys is because when you're a business owner, your mind works different. And whenever she met my guys in EO, she was like, "I understand it. They're just like you."
That's great.
And it's just the thinking process, and I guess it's the thing in her eye, whatever you want to call it. So those guys are the best mentors a guy could ask for. Really.
And I know several of them, and I could not agree more. And we'll talk about EO in a moment or two. So let's talk about the risks. We all talk about starting a business has risks, and entrepreneurs are not risk averse. Tell us about how you look at risk.
It's funny. I talk about this all the time, especially with new people that join the firm. My risk, and I actually had this discussion with one of my clients who's a Navy SEAL, Team 6, and we had dinner and we were talking, and I said, the difference between me and you and a lot of people? I said, when you were shot at and you had to run away from bombings and snipers, all the other risks after that just doesn't seem as bad. So when I look at myself as an entrepreneur, I look at it, what's the worst case scenario? And sadly, I train my wife to be the same way, because her and I sit down and we go, "Baby, what's the worst case scenario?" We'll work through it and go, "We can deal with that. We're still alive. Our kids are going to be okay. I don't have to worry about my house. I don't have to worry about my family, about any of that stuff." And financial, from what I hear, dollars grow on trees, so I can find that stuff anywhere.
That's right.
So
That's
my risk tolerance is just a little bit different. And really, when you look at what I've been through in my life, everybody would see it as a disadvantage. But what has provided me from a mindset, from positive mental attitude, from second chance attitude, I look at it as that was the best thing that happened, because it made me into who I am today. And that's where risk, compared to what I've been through to today, I don't have to worry about anything besides just myself.
I'll tell you what, we've heard the term about putting things into perspective, and folks, for me, listening to Danijel talk about his background and what he's doing with his business and his outlook on life is putting everything into perspective for me. So I really applaud that. What were some of the obstacles? Well, some of the obstacles in business. We've heard a bit about your obstacles in life, and the fact that you made it out alive is pretty good. But what were some of the obstacles in starting up your business?
In business, when I first started in business, which was in 2000, was just the fact that I had a very, very big uphill climb.
Yeah.
Because nobody knew me, and I knew nobody. And in this business, it's all about who you know and who knows you. So that was number one, and I was able to cross that just because I am a passionate and I'm a very motivated guy. The second one, when we started talking about and going into the Opus group, was obviously the Now, totally no new rebranding, understanding that clients now are going to change and many people are not okay with change as much. And then taking on, obviously when I was by myself, I had an assistant, and then taking on an office, multiple assistants, brand, huge cash flow change. That was obviously scary, but again, it was when you bet on a guy in a mirror, you can usually control a lot. So I knew that it was going to be okay.
That's great. And you mentioned rebranding. You were Opus Group of Virginia, the Opus Group of Virginia, and you're converting to the Opus Group.
Well, there's already an Opus Group out there that's an architectural firm. Forget where, but so we're toying either the Opus Wealth or the Opus Group.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Something. So we're in a process of that, just because we're doing so much more business outside of the state.
Which is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's wonderful. So I wish you well on that. And
thank you.
So let's we've talked about some of your significant awards and accomplishments. And again, folks, a beautiful pillar there. But in terms of business training, let's kind of branch over to EO, and we'll talk about some of the training that they provide. So a bit about the Entrepreneurs Organization Southeast. The Entrepreneurs Organization is an international entity. It's obviously well established here in the United States, and it's well established here in Virginia, in the Southeast. My understanding from some of the high-level bullet or speaking points is over 50 companies, 52 or so, and growing. Over 4,000 employees, over or approaching or near $2 billion in regional revenue, and so that's huge, and it's a cross cut of all businesses.
It is, and I got to tell you, it's an honor to be able to first qualify it and then second be brought into the organization.
Right.
I first came across it. I think it was about 9 years ago, I did, one of my mentors at the time, I was working with him, I did a presentation for one of the forums in EO. And I looked around the room and I said, I want to be a part of this organization one day. So when I did start my business, the first thing I did, I was in Top 40 under 40 in 2011 with Mr. Brad Scott, who owns Seton Corp.
Right.
And him and I just got together for drinks one day. It was coffee. And I said, he told me he was a part of EO, it just newly started. I said, I need to be a part of that organization. And he helped me. It was very instrumental in getting me in, introducing me to Martin Joseph, who was in charge of membership. And I was, when I got the okay, I was very, very, very excited.
That's outstanding. Martin Joseph, President and CEO of 360 IT Partners, and a great guy, a great family man, and they're all the people that I've met from EO are just great, and they're family oriented, they're business oriented. In fact, some of them I think have survived a recent trip to Greece.
To Greece, yep, absolutely.
And Greece is still standing.
It is still standing,
which is surprising. But so in that organization and that network, let's talk about some of the mentoring that goes on and some of the business training. And again, that collegial relationship that you have with so many great business owners in the area.
It's an extremely first diverse group. You already said that, but the setup for the EO is amazing because it's all based on experience sharing. You have a whole bunch of strong business people, and if you were to walk in a meeting and somebody was talking about something and you told them, hey, you should do it this way or that way, obviously it might cause friction. So you get utmost respect as a part of EO just because nobody's ever going to judge you or tell you how to do things. Right. They're just going to share a situation that they might have dealt with that was similar. And that just puts you in a position where it's true help, experience sharing, you're learning rather than being told. I don't particularly like to be told much, except obviously for my wife. She can tell me anything.
We know.
And I will listen and do.
Absolutely.
I love you, baby. But it's an incredible organization because you have, first off, businesses that are nothing like yours. But the inherent business problems don't know the industry, don't know the business. So you have cash flow, you have employees, you got Virginia Employment Commission, you got all these things that we deal with on a regular basis. And the amazing thing is you have guys that have been in business for 20 plus years. You have guys that have sold and started new businesses. So you have the acquisition and the mergers and any story you need. These guys you can call up and they're your friends and they will tell you everything you need to know. So I cannot tell you from a group of people that you want to know. It's who's who, and then I call them my friends and I can get anything done at any point because we all want to help each other.
Wow, what a great resource.
It is an incredible bunch of people that anybody can learn from.
That's amazing. In fact, I had breakfast today with a fairly senior person in the region, and we were talking about entrepreneurial ecosystems and things of that nature. And I mentioned a lot of the work that we're doing with EO, and the response is, I didn't know EO was here. And I said, not only are they here, and I went through those speaking points, and that person was amazed. And so I think that EO is a tremendous resource and is going to come into more prominence, regionally speaking. Again, sharing the experiences and helping young businesses grow. And so let's shift over to that for a second. So, in terms of business startups, and we talk about in Hampton Roads, it can be anywhere, but what recommendations might you have for young businesses trying to get started? And we hear of incubators and and all those things. You didn't go through an incubator.
No. The biggest thing that I can tell you, even because my clients are startups and my clients are set up businesses and older businesses, so I see everything. The biggest thing I can tell you from dealing with clients that are especially in that position, either have great ideas or are trying to start, they are in it. They don't see anything beside it, and they really feel like they don't have anywhere to go to ask for help. And you got to look at it, and this is the thing that I always share about EO. The reason it makes so much difference to me is because my wife loves me and I love her, and we have utmost respect for each other, but she doesn't understand what it takes to run a business. My partners are different thinkers than I am. Anybody that works for me is a yes man, so there's really nowhere to go where you can have conversations that people will understand. New startups, a lot of times their families can't help them because there might be a 9-to-5 personality. They don't understand what it takes and that drive and motivation and fire to make you do that. So a lot of times they feel like they're by themselves. And one of the things that EO has started is the EO mentorship program, where a lot of young businesses can come and spend time with us and really for us to talk. Because as you know, I don't do my own planning, my partners do, because it's too emotional, it's too close. I can't see what I need to see. For them, they can't see their blind spots. And that's one of the benefits of EO. We do presentations, and the presentations always start, I just did one about a business thing, and I said, what is my blind spot? Help me out, guys. What am I not seeing that you guys just immediately, common sense, would see? Because I'm overthinking it, or I'm not thinking enough, or I'm not thinking the right direction. So for startups, it is they feel lonely and they feel like they don't have places to go. And sometimes with the incubators in a lot of places, people are scared about giving equity away because that's what is required.
Very good point.
And that costs money. Whether today or tomorrow, and especially if you think that you have a phenomenal idea and somebody's asking you for 15% equity or 20% equity,
that's right.
That can be very, very costly. So sometimes they're gun shy on taking those routes. So again, they feel lonely.
So let's talk now about company cultures and work environment, etc. And then these are leading questions toward talking about the workforce, and the young workforce, which I think we chatted a bit when we were shooting pool the other night. So let's talk about the culture of your organization and what you communicate to your clients.
At the Opus Group, we are very family-like because first off, compensation, the models that we use are very bonus and work heavy, just because we don't have 9-to-5 mentality. It's mission specific. If we're getting things done, if the client's coming in at 7, if paperwork needs to be filled, if presentations need to be ready, whatever is needed, everybody understands that that's the most important thing at that time. So it has no time from a guideline standpoint. Also, we are very, I make this as a joke every time I introduce clients to the whole staff. And that's the big thing about the Opus Group compared to a lot of companies. They don't work just with me, they work with the whole group.
Right.
Every time I introduce our assistants, every time I say, I make the promises, they keep them.
Good.
And everybody here knows that. So it's a team approach, because I wouldn't be half as capable and able by myself as I could with them.
Very good.
So we have an extremely open sharing. Every quarter we get together and go through, hey, what's working, what's not working, what have you experienced, what can we do better, kind of environment. And it's very, very friendly. Out in the field, our clients, obviously depending on what industry they're with, it depends on what their environment can be. And for us, it's extremely relationship oriented. So obviously there's all kinds of different people that have to deal with the different environments.
So now let's shift into the discussion about the workforce. There's lots of conversations about gaps, employment or workforce requirement gaps that young people today, they come out of college and there's some gaps in terms of the real world requirements, which, to their defense and to the educational institution's defense, business changes on a rapid pace, and just like you said, you have to review periodically what's going on. Your requirements change sometimes, so you have to move rapidly. But what advice can you give for the emerging workforce? The challenges, observations, any recommendations about them getting employed?
I got to tell you, I have two stories for that. First one is just current. We were looking for an additional team member. Went through probably 20 interviews. 2 people that came in interviews actually researched the company. 2. So that means 18 came in here not knowing anything about us, not knowing about what we do, not knowing about anything. It made it for impossible situation, because you got to talk and explain instead of interview, and it was a horrible experience. So it's almost like I'm here, give me a job kind of attitude. I don't want to do any work for it, and I don't want to prepare, and I don't want to tell you about the outfits that people came in. The second story is a story of my wife's cousin, my cousin Eric. He graduated Tennessee. He's 27, 28 years old. Had the hardest time. He was number 1 in his class for architecture. Had the hardest time finding a job. This was 2009 period. He thought outside the box, came up with an incredible board made out of old wood that he put together himself into a box with why you should hire me, and did all this stuff and almost made like a cool portfolio cutouts.
Wow.
And packaged it very differently and sent it to a architectural firm in Tennessee. It had to be signed by the CEO. Nobody could take it. He actually paid extra for that.
Personal delivery, yeah.
And the CEO called him and said, "This is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. We're not looking, but you need to come in for an interview."
It's a great story.
And just his thinking outside the box, thinking, how can I get somebody's attention? How can I do my work? He researched the company. Inside the box were things that they were working on currently, and how he saw them being able to get finished. I mean, it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. So I look at it from obviously hiring people in my company. I wish that would be out there more often. And then just to follow up, right now we are hiring 2 other people in the business. One of them just graduated from MBA. We were at a job fair. He went straight to our booth, knew everything about us, and said, "I want to work for you." And there was American Express, Ameriprise, Merrill Lynch, everybody around us. And he said, "You guys do exactly what I want to do. This is what I see for your company as me as a part of it." And I was like, "Okay, you're going to work for us."
That's very impressive.
It was amazing. So there is out there understanding that you have to be different, but I think it's still too small of a percentage of people that get it.
So that's you raise an excellent point. So, in fact, Brad Scott and I recently sat on a mentorship panel for some of the juniors and seniors out of ODU. They call them with Civic Leadership Institute, the Civic Scholars Program, and we talked about differentiation. How do you differentiate yourself? And we talked about just what you mentioned. Brad had the same experience with somebody that, or young people that would not do any research. They came in, they were ill prepared or not prepared at all, and it's like, well, here I am. You obviously want to hire me. But how you've given a great example of differentiation, and what other kind of things can young people do to propel themselves to the head of the class, if you will?
Really, especially if you're trying to get into a company, understand their business, understand their model. Everything you can find these days on the internet. I mean, this is the stuff that I didn't have when I was
isn't it? That's
absolutely.
Right.
And get into a thinking mode of what you could bring to the company and present it in such way. Because any CEO, any HR person, if you come in with an idea and thinking as if you were a member of the company already. My mentor, Ed, first thing he said, I wanted to be a sales manager. And the best thing he ever told me, he said, you want to be a sales manager? Act like one. Whenever it's time to get one, nobody will ever think of anybody else because you've been acting like it. So when you go into a job interview, when you're looking for opportunities, act like you're a part of the company. Act like you can help. Act like you can advance their business. Then it's a no-brainer. Because if you can put a dollar sign in the owner's mind of what you can bring to the firm, then you're no longer a cost, then you're an asset. And that's just then it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that's some of the most succinct, spot-on advice that I've heard, and I hope that students and job seekers are listening to this interview. It not only plays for Daniel's company, but it plays for everybody. It plays for Brad Scott's company. It plays for Canon. It plays for you got to differentiate. Know the opportunities that you bring for the company. That's great, Danny. We're almost out of time. What closing remarks would you like to say? I got a question. Why did you decide to do business in Hampton Roads and stay here?
Actually, that's where 7-Eleven brought me.
Yeah.
Back in the day, the Southland Corporation, and my wife immediately found a job as teaching, and we loved the area, and we just liked the diversity of it. We liked the quiet, and then the downtown Norfolk town center, the
great,
beach.
Isn't it?
It's just a phenomenal place to be. It's not too far from D.C. It's business friendly. Traffic is not awful unless it's you coming to this interview.
And I'm a Chicagoan, so that was every day for me.
So it's really a great place to be. I think it's a great place for business. Yeah. I enjoy it.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're a tremendous member of our business community here in Hampton Roads. I appreciate everything you're doing. I wish you all the greatest success that you can possibly achieve, and I wish the same for every member of EO and their willingness to share and impart knowledge for the rest of the region. So
this was fun. Thank you.
I very much appreciate your time today. And again, Dan Bell from Future of Hampton Roads signing off with Danijel Velicki of the Opus Group of Virginia, which pay attention, the rebranding is about to happen. Thank you so much, Dan.
Thank you.